Hey guys, welcome to the show. Got a great one lined up for you today. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. Let's head on over to the panel, over to some Ballbusters over there. I haven't talked to them for about a week and a half, so we're going to catch up a little bit. Hope you don't mind. Nathan Oakley, sir, how are you?
I'm very well indeed. How are you?
I am going to lie and say I'm good.
I know why you're not good, so I'll appreciate the lie, and that's good for the sake of a smooth and concise introduction to all the Ballbusters after 3 weeks of no Ballbusters.
Thank you. Let's see who else we got here. We have the Adam Meakin, sir. Pleasure.
Good evening. Evening, everyone. To be here. Nice to be back, John.
It's very good to be back. Arwen, what's up, sir?
Yeah.
Boy, I got you so low, sir. You need to check your mic.
Check. I'll just log out and...
No, that's good. You're good. Just get closer to your mic. Stop slobbering over it. You'll be good.
Anyway, it's good to be back.
It is, sir. We have Brian's Logic. What's up, Brian? I know you're on mute.
Hey, Kiwi. Thanks for having me in. Looking forward to this show. Looking forward big time. Football as well.
Yeah. It's getting there slowly but surely. I was in the Hurt Locker not that long ago, but we don't need to get into that. I've been so excited about this for a very long time. This show is like I said, is a long time coming. It had to be this way. I had to trap them. I had to trap all the baltards, right? So I had to lay in wait, just long enough, right? I've been thinking about it ever since the beginning, because I know they're just pretender clowning with their refractions from the beginning. Ever since I first heard the term, I said, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And then more so when the Black Swan came out, and I chose that photo, that specific photo, for a reason. I always had it in the back of my mind, and just be patient. I lack patience, but I knew that this one would pay off in spades, and it's going to pay off in about 15 minutes.
The long grass.
They're going to love me for it.
Yeah.
You guys should know where I'm headed with this. I've spoke, here and there. I've brought a couple things up, never getting too far into it. But the things that I did bring up was enough just to kill it there. I hope everyone got that. I'm gonna stress it today. I'm gonna show you why. But everyone will say, "Oh yeah, I got it." Yeah, and then we're going to do some dancing on the grave and just a little bit of showing off. That never hurt anything. If y'all don't mind.
I'll kick this off with my story about trying to convince you to use a different photo to the original Black Swan. That directly ties into the theme of this particular Ballbusters. I'm going to do it anyway, so it's rhetorical in a way, but I'd like permission.
Oh, you can do whatever you want. Go ahead.
So, I don't know how many weeks into the Black Swan argument, it might have been days, for all I can remember. I approached QE and said, look, this Black Swan image that you've used has got bendy cranes in it, and it's all I'm bloody hearing about, bloody bendy crane refraction. And I've also got this BLM SB69 still that's actually superior. The horizon looks further, it's clearer, it's better. In my mind, that was better because it overcame, in my mind, this annoying rebuttal from the globe side, or anti-flat earth side as they're now called, which is it's refraction, or to paraphrase QE, refraction, right? Parroting off what they've heard from everyone else. And the response I got from QE was, I want them to say refraction. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And then, which hopefully everyone else watching will get by the end of this show, the refraction claim implodes the globe. It's the death knell for the globe. It's the end. So I didn't get it at the time. And when it was explained to me, right, there was like that penny drop moment that everyone has where you go, oh, right. So as soon as they say refraction, they've ended their own argument. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? You don't know what you don't know. And it took me putting it to QE that we should be using a different image for QE to explain that naturally this argument does actually need the opponent to progress onto refraction, them to then implode their own argument. And why do it for them when you can lay a nice little trap? And they all plowed right into it, right? They all just went, refraction.
Oh boy. The tangled webs we weave. This one was purposeful though. I weave this one purposely. See, you gotta know your enemy. For the first thing in a tactical situation is, even before you get to the first step, you better know your enemy. That's the first, because if you don't, you're screwed. You're done for, right? Because they're gonna surprise you. Right? You're not going to be ready for most of the stuff that's going to come at you. Right? And it's going to be the case today. So we're going to see how it goes.
If you're in the audience going, I'm just going to follow on from what you've said, rhetorical though it may be, is if you're in the audience thinking, well, what the hell does he mean? Know your enemy. We're talking about refraction. What the hell are you talking about? What's to know? Why do I need to suddenly prepare for them some amazing weapon that they've got when we're just talking about refraction? Well, it's critical because you've got to know what that word means. In real terms, that's the reality we deal with. That's what flat earthers deal with. That's what we specifically, let's not bundle in every flat earther. That's what we deal with here on Ballbusters, physical and natural world. You've got to know what refraction means in that context. You've also got to know what it means when it's a shell loaded into one of their rifles, because it's a very different type of refraction when they say it, based on a radius value. It's got a specific terminology, standard or terrestrial refraction, which isn't refraction. I'm sure we'll get to that, right?
Yes, sir. We're going to get to it here quickly because it seems everyone's quiet. They don't want to talk. Usually everyone's fired up. It's a Saturday. Everyone's laid back, but I've been adding this for about 2 weeks now. And then sending little messages out to people to make sure and, watch the presentation. You see, this is a flat earth presentation. So, Balltards, I would probably go and do something else right about now if I were you. Because this is just strictly for flat earthers. Now, I can't control who watches or who doesn't. Go ahead.
I disagree. I've had a little review of some of the slides, and I wouldn't say it's a flat earthers. I'd say it's a scientific presentation. It goes through a lot of, pulls together a lot of the stuff you've explained in much greater detail and requires you to understand some of the conclusions you draw. I think I've only read it briefly, but it does seem not for flat earthers. It seems people that are interested in the scientific factual evidence that we have with regards to these behaviors, these pictures, and what the implications are.
No, I said it was for flat earthers.
Oh no, I disagreed with you, that was all. It doesn't have to be flat to appreciate truth.
Yeah, but this is for flat earthers. This is not for ballers. See, they would have to, what they're going to have to do if they sit down here, they got to have their therapists on speed dial, and their therapists are going to be having to have their therapist on speed dial, because this is going to be pretty savage and merciless. So I'm trying to look out for them.
And given how heavily involved I was in this creative process, what scientific evidence is there in this presentation again?
None. I was just humoring Adam. He's still, sometimes he reverts back, right?
No. I'll pull some out of my arse in a minute. Wait there, I'll go flick to it.
Yeah. I was just gonna let it hang yourself, man. Just go ahead. You've been drinking?
Oh, lots. I've been working in the garden heavily all day. So when 4 o'clock came, I'd definitely earned a big glass of wine. What time is it now?
2:13.
3:13.
Keep going. I'm scrolling. I'll find something. Oh, we got snow. Yeah, well, you see, that's fine, isn't it? In terms of the proper description, transfer from media and how that media affects it, there's science there.
Hey. Don't be giving it up. All right, let me check. So we're not going to...
The point... Okay, so without going any further, the point I was making was there's a lot of stuff you've made in previous stuff that requires the science and is validated by the science, the phrases that you'll use and the way you'll take apart stuff. That's what I was...
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
I'm not blowing smoke up your ass again. Forget it.
Oh, it doesn't need to happen that way. I don't need that.
No.
I have other fuel to burn.
I did not know I was going to cause that. I actually haven't been at all involved in the creative process or read any of the notes that have been courteously sent. And therefore, I assumed naturally, because of Adam saying there would be scientific evidence, that there actually was. So I didn't know that was going to kick off as a result of that comment. That's not my fault at all.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Listen, there's no script here. I've told people this before. I think some people have this impression that we're like have production meetings or something, and we go over topics and make sure everything's lined up. Let me tell you something, folks. Not a single time in the past 5 years, or as long as we've been doing this, have we ever had a production meeting like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Now, I may have sent the presentations out, right, but not said anything to them. You know, the presentations are just, skeletons. And that's as far as it goes. There's nothing else that goes on with this. So everything you hear on the live shows are strictly spontaneous. Just to make sure you're aware. These people are lazy, I'm dealing with. All right?
I'll qualify this. I hate turning up and, like, the depth that you cover, John, is too much. So I don't have that recall that you have. So whenever I know you're going to do something new, I'd like to at least know what the topic is. And you do oblige me in that. So... what I've got, I mean, it's pictureless, but it is just some of the slides, so I've got an idea what you're talking about. So,
it's pictureless. I put pictures in this.
It's not saved any of the pictures, but that was fine. It's just so I know what you're on about, so that I've at least. I like to read first. I don't like being unprepared for anything in life.
Exactly.
But as for it being a meeting, no. You were gracious last week. Early this week to send it me, and I read it this afternoon, but that was it.
And it was unsolicited. I was thinking about you guys because I missed you. I haven't talked to you in a while. I said, let me be a nice guy. Let me send them this, a couple of you guys to have it reviewed. Now, I didn't send it to all of Ballbusters because I know they're not going to look at it.
Yeah, this is definitely a spontaneous show. It's definitely not scripted.
Yeah, in any way. But I think a lot of people have that impression. I think I've made this speech before about the non-spontaneous nature and how, it's just by the seat of our pants. A lot of people don't believe that. They say, you got to have production. No, we don't. Everyone's got lives. They're busy just like you. It's hard to even talk to these guys. I don't have any quality time anymore with any of the Ballbusters. So we just roll with what we got. It's better that way.
Busy drawing pictures for all
Are you complaining? That's up to you.
Arwen, we still can't hear you, man. Get closer to your mic.
Turn him up. I can hear him perfectly clear.
Let me see if I got him turned down. Go ahead, Arwen.
Hello, check.
I got him a little low. Go ahead, give me another check before we get started.
Check. Yay, Ballbusters live.
Very good. You're perfect.
Execute order 66.
How you like that chicken, folks? I had to go and bark on there. That thing's driving me crazy, Shines.
I was being really sarcastic when I was like, made a deliberate error, like I was reading it, and then said the show's not scripted after flicking a few pages. Surely you're not really serious. No one's ever actually said this must be scripted. Surely not.
I've had a couple people ask me that sort of question. Do you guys? They didn't say production meetings, but that's what they meant. And I said, you got to be kidding me. Do you know the guys I'm dealing with?
I refuse to converse with any of you unless it's recorded and broadcast live.
That's what it seems like these days. That is too funny. Good job. But I understand. I got it. I'm dogging you guys out, but I totally get it. And we don't need to, for the most part, because at this point, I mean, everyone, the high-level ballbusters are all proficient, right? So we don't need to have those production meetings. All right, let me see what we got here before we get started. I know everyone's waiting for it. Hey, appreciated 5 angels for super chat. Drones prove flat Earth. They calibrate horizontal upon power up and never again. If you take off after 15 minutes of sitting on the ground after power up, there is no drift as there should be. Yeah, with the back to that. Remember my number one point for the rotation of the Earth is a drone in the inertial reference frame. And it's the inertial reference frame star and moon rotation. And like I said, we have that video. It's just a large file. And every time, I'm not going to play it today. We'll probably do it here shortly, though. But it's a great argument. You're all over it. Great job. Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah.
But hold on. But do say what the video was. I detail what the drone did and what it showed, please.
The drone, what it detailed, as soon as it left the non-inertial spinning reference frame and it was stationary in the inertial reference frame, if the Earth was spinning, causing the stars to rotate, then those stars and moon wouldn't move. But as soon as it's got its eye on it and it's stationary, the drone's stationary, and the stars and the moon, 10 stars in the moon, without parallax, by the way, but I digress, start moving. As soon as that happens, it's over. The entire heliocentric spinning ball space monkey religion implodes. It's over right there. Simple.
Okay, that was terrible. Right, let me try better and do better. So, all that's being shown in the drone footage is a drone being launched and filming stars. And as they go up, the stars are continuing to move in the frame of view of the stationary, if you will, hovering drone. So therefore, the view from a hovering drone is exactly the same as the view if you're standing on the ground. The stars move in the frame of the drone. Now, it's claimed that Earth's turning beneath. Therefore, as the drone launched in line with the Coriolis claim of the globe, they would stop moving. They don't.
That was atrocious.
Can I answer something?
That was excellent.
Go ahead.
That's all.
Go ahead. Before we get started, go ahead, but make it quick.
Right. So, yeah, all drones all function as well as they do and orientate as well as they do because they have passive gyroscope systems to orient themselves with. I think that a lot of mobile phones these days also have this built in to the actual phone mechanism, right? Because they don't even need moving parts anymore. I don't know if it's like a ring laser gyroscope, but it's like very small systems that work very accurately. So they apply gyroscopes to find their orientation in Euclidean space, which would only work if the Earth was not spinning. Right? Indeed, upon startup.
Thanks for being concise. All right. We ready? Let's go with some mic discipline here. I'm going to go through 3/4 of the presentation and I'll stop. You'll realize why I stop. And then we'll finish it off right at the end with the last quarter of the presentation. It's not going to be all that long. I want everyone to pay attention. Like I said, this is for flat earthers. This is for you guys, right? For when they refraction, they're toast. And you can destroy them quickly. And I'm going to show you how, right? It's not going to be difficult. So we have refraction. Isn't that beautiful? I thought it was a beautiful picture. Everyone complains that I don't have pictures in my videos there, so I put some random pictures in there. Of course, right on topic, right? We got some Pink Floyd action going on. We got some actual refraction, right? So what do we do? What is our modus operandi whenever we enter a topic, whether it be new or an old topic, especially with an audience and everyone listening? Well, we define our terms. I suggest this. I stressed this the other day because what happens, people get into discussions, arguments, and they don't define what they're talking about. The two parties don't do it, and it starts to circle the drain immediately. And then 25 minutes later, you find yourself talking about, the color of cotton socks in Narnia. Why? Well, one of the reasons why is you didn't define terms. This is very simple. It's called the Socratic method. Define the terms so everyone understands, not only you and the other party, but most importantly, the audience, so they can follow along. You're going to lose them quickly if you don't define what you're talking about. Okay? That's a pro tip. So that's what we're going to do right now. So refraction, what is it? From the physics classroom, let's take a close look at this. Refraction is the bending of the path of a light wave. There's a problem there, but I digress. We'll get to that. Be patient. As it passes from one material to another. Really? That's quite interesting. The refraction occurs at the boundary and is caused. Whenever you see that term, then a weather eye should raise, right? Because it's going to tell you what the necessary antecedent is for that topic you're discussing, for the existence of that topic you're discussing. So you raise a weathered eye, here it comes. It's caused by a change in the speed of a light wave. Upon crossing the boundary spoken of here, right? The tendency of a ray of light to bend one direction or another is dependent on whether the light wave speeds up or slows down upon crossing the boundary. And they give us the formula by a perfect reflection of what the definition just told you, right? You have the N material, that's the index of refraction. Everyone's heard that term, right? Bandied about. No one's ever defined it. As long as I've been out here, just index of refraction. Yeah, or refractive index. Boy, that sounds great. What the heck does that mean? This is what it means. So you got N material equals a ratio. In this particular case, it's the speed of light in a vacuum. Now, I don't know why they put the speed of light in a vacuum. This is supposed to be a natural law. Vacuums don't exist in nature. But I digress. You see where I'm going with that. So it's the speed of light in a vacuum over the reference material. The speed of light in your reference material, that's all it is, folks. It's a ratio. And what's a ratio? Well, that's one thing compared to or in relationship with another thing. It's just as simple as that, right? And you can get the index of refraction every single time from this formula right here. It equals a constant. That's the index of refraction. Follow? Now, everyone knows what we're talking about here. Don't worry about it. These definitions are going to pop up throughout the presentation. If you didn't catch it now, you will catch it. Now, remember, the most important parts are, look at that. I put that real big for you. So it would burn into your retina. It's as the light wave, as it passes from one material to another material. The boundary, the interface between two different materials. Everyone see that. It's very important. It's going to become critically important over the next 30 minutes. Now, again, the refractive index, you can get there two ways. This has N subscript 2(1). That's the index of refraction with substance 2 versus substance 1 from here, from upsilon 1 over upsilon 2. Where do we see this? We see it right up here. That's the same formula, isn't it? V1 over V2. You can take the velocity of the speed of light in a vacuum over your reference material. What I'm trying to stress here, it's always a ratio. Always a ratio. Then it has equal sign. The right part of this equation is Snell's law. Now, we're going to get into that here in a few minutes, a little bit more in depth. But let me just say that this is also a ratio, isn't it? It's just a trigonometric ratio. Same thing. This equals Snell's law. You're going to get the same constant. Well, no matter which way you do it, you'll get the same index of refraction. Hopefully everyone's following that. It's just that simple.
Can I answer?
No. So, the 5-dagger fistful of dipshittery. Number 1, Your Honor and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Exhibit 1. Whenever Ballbusters refraction, they're unwittingly invoking terrestrial refraction. Well, what's that? Right? We're going to have to, they put a little term in front of this term that we defined above. So what's that mean? Well, let's go to the subject matter expert, Andrew Thomas Young from San Diego State, astronomy department, and have him describe what terrestrial refraction is. The atmosphere is also curved. That's interesting. As it follows the shape of the Earth, in the calculations below, we'll adopt a rough value of 6,400 kilometers, the radius of curvature, to make the calculation simple. So, what is this description telling you? Now, I'm going to highlight them here for you. You see these two little items right here? These are called necessary conditions, antecedent facts that must hold true for this to exist. Follow? If one of these does not exist, that one or that one, this doesn't exist. It's just that simple. So, for terrestrial refraction to exist, like I said, 2 conditions, that is, necessary antecedents, must exist. Exhibit 1A, Your Honor. You must have curved gases. The atmosphere. Why? Well, he told you, Andrew Thomas Young told you right here. You must have curved gases. Now remember, the atmosphere is a contradiction in terms. Atmo means air. Air is a gas. Sphere is a shape. Gases have no inherent shape, Andrew. If you think they do, that is, gases have shape, you'd fail first grade intro to gas behavior. Literally. From Christy Bodak, Southwestern University. Grade level 1. I will use this lesson with a first grade class. If an object is in a gaseous state of matter, it will not have a definite shape or a definite volume. Over. Now, do I need this? Just Christy? No, it's just to make a point. I could provide over 100 citations with little effort saying over and over again that gases have no definite shape. Number one, it's self-evident to somebody in a coma. And every citation, scientific or otherwise, tells you the same thing. Let's just finish it up here with Chem Libre text. Like liquids, gases have no definite shape. It's over. I can rest. Your Honor, the prosecution rests. I can rest my entire case right here, and they can't recover. That's how easy it is. So flat earthers, that's all you need. Why? Because they need it with their terrestrial refraction. It's described that way. You must have it. And they can't have it. So I just rest my case right here. How you like that? Now, I'm not going to rest my case right here. I'm going to go for a comprehensive presentation, but make no mistake, all the rest is just gravy. I'm just dancing on the grave. So keep that in mind. All right? It's going to get merciless, savage coming up here. The savage part is already over. Right here. Hope everyone gets that. And B, you must know the radius of the Earth. Why? Well, guess what? It's part of the necessary conditions for terrestrial refraction to exist. It's right there. It's the second one. From Andrew Thomas Young. He gives it to you. So demonstrate the radius of the Earth. So what you have here is a begging the question fallacy radius wrapped in a contradiction in terms paradox atmosphere. Now, you can use this one. I have no problem with it. You can use the radius of the Earth to destroy terrestrial refraction, right? I'm just trying to save you some time because you're going to get bogged down in the who, what, when, where, how, and why of the radius of the Earth when you could just kill it quick with curved gases. Now, a lot of people like to do this. I'm not saying don't. You're perfectly within your rights to kill it that way. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Either way. But I rest, Your Honor. Remember with Exhibit 1A, the prosecution rests above. I'm just showing off now. Dagger number 2. Baltards must invoke Snell's law. There is no other way around it. So, Snell's law, what is it? Well, from their alma mater wiki, let's define this monkey. Snell's law, also known as Snell-Descartes law, and the law of refraction. Now, the formulation down here is by Descartes, René Descartes. Snell had a little different articulation of it. It wasn't wrong. It's just that we don't use it. We use René Descartes. It's not a big deal. I digress. Snell's law, also known as Snell-Descartes law and the law of refraction, is a formula used to describe the relationship between the angles of incidence and refraction when referring to light or other waves passing through there it is again, a boundary between what? We've seen this before, two different isotropic media. And they give examples. Well, what are the different media? Water, glass, air. Right? So it's air to water, air to glass, water to air, glass to air. You see, it's two different isotropic media. You can't get around this. The definition reflects the formula. You must have two different media. Snell's law is simply the relation between the angle of incidence and the angle of refraction and the refractive indices of the two media being compared. Right here. It's in the formula. You have the angles of incidence, theta, right here, incidence, over theta refractive. It's right there. You can't get around this. It's two media. Every single time you pull up Snell's law, if you research Snell's law, you're going to see a depiction somewhere or a reasonable facsimile of this. Why? Because it's in the formula. You can't get out of it. Right? So what do we got here? We have air and water. 1, 2. The relationship between the two. The boundary. Right? You must have this. I hope everyone understands. It's quite simple. Very easy to understand. Let's head back to, remember I stopped here in the beginning with the first ratio. So the index of refraction. So N equals C over epsilon. All this is saying is giving you, again, another ratio. And we already went over this. Index of refraction is N. C is the speed of light in a vacuum, and epsilon is the speed of light in the reference material, whatever it is. Remember we went over this? I pulled up this caption above. N subscript 2, 1, that's the relationship between epsilon 2 and epsilon 1. This is just a ratio. That ratio right here is depicted right here. The right side of the equation is Snell's law, as we just went over. It's going to give you the same answer. This is a trigonometric ratio. It doesn't matter. You're going to come out with the same answer as you did with V1 or V2 because they're equivalent statements, is what I wanted to point out. Here we go again, another depiction of Snell's law. Now, don't worry about the formulations over there. They're trying to solve for the angle of refraction. We're not all that interested in that because they give the indices or the indexes of refraction for what? Air versus the other substance, water. Right? It's always, like I said, it's always a comparison between two different media and the surface or the interface between then said media. Right? That's what I want to stress here. Hopefully everyone's got that because it's going to come very, very important right about now. A, The married bachelor paradox atmosphere is only one medium. So what does that have to do with Snell's law? Nothing. It's a category error. If you apply it to Snell's law, it's non sequitur. As simple as that. So what do? The Dunning-Kruger numpty dipshit baltard's only recourse, folks. Tie Snell's law to a tree and feebly adulterate it with their Tootsie Roll dicks after being found wanting and laughed at, snatch a baseball bat, and proceed to Bob Euchre flail blindly at the demobilized damsel and invoke the married bachelor paradox, curved gases atmosphere. You think I'm lying? Let's check it. From the subject matter expert, Andrew Thomas Young, San Diego State University, Astronomy Department, Snell's law. Snell's law gives the quantitative change of direction of a ray of light. We're going to be dealing with that later, but I digress. Ray of light and passing from one medium to another, right? He has to say that because that's Snell's law. He continues. The product n sine z is the same on both sides of a plane interface, right? Interface between two media. You can't have an interface between one media. That makes no damn sense. Where n is the local refractive index and z is the local angle the ray makes with the normal to the interface. That is Snell's law. He has to give it to you that way because that's what it is. Here comes the magic, baby. Get ready. In the curved atmosphere. What? Andrew. Gases don't curve there, buddy. But he's going to curve the atmosphere. He's going to introduce a paradox now and change Snell's law. He's doing it right in front of your face. In the curved atmosphere, Snell's law, presto magico, becomes an R sine Z equal constant. What? Where'd you get this from? That's not Snell's law. Where's the R here? He wholesale changed the law right in front of your face, folks, by introducing a paradox, no less. Can you believe it? Snell's law becomes nr sine z equals constant, where r is the distance from the local center of curvature. What? Local center of what curvature? The curved gases? See the page especially devoted this refractive invariant. Yeah, it's an invariant, all right. So here's what we got, folks. Abracadabra. Gonna reach out and pipe ya with pixie dust from the curved Atmo and Gondor. That's what he did. That's all he did. He's Andrew, I think he's like a witch, right? But he's a special type of witch because actual witches, they have things that they put in their witch's brew that are actual physical, like bat pee and frog's legs and stuff. Not Andrew, he's a different type of witch. He does it conceptually, with conceptual fictions, right? It's quite special, isn't it? That's all he did, folks. So, the booger-eating baltards, Tootsie Roll Dick shape shift delete, the quintessential tenet of Snell's law. I showed it to you a number of times. Two different isotropic media, via substituting a paradox, curved gases atmosphere, into Narnia, and then presto, magico, voila! Refraction. That's all it is. We're in a carnival tent Narnia Odyssey. This is a belly laugher. This is a second grade belly laugher, folks. We're not done yet. One more tiny little issue. The lack of precision. There's more issues down below, don't worry. I want to deal with this one just as a technicality. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare the definition of refraction with the depiction below. We're going to look at all the necessary conditions that must exist for refraction to exist, and then we're going to take a look down here and see if it comes to fruition, right? So again, this is from Physics Classroom. We've seen this in the beginning of the presentation. Refraction is the bending of a path of a light wave as it passes from, remember, one material to another. Okay, let's look down here. We have two materials, so we're good to go with that, right? We have air and water. So we met that criterion. The refraction occurs at the boundary. Do we have a boundary here? We sure do. The boundary between air and water. So we're good up to this point. And is caused by a change in the speed of a light wave upon crossing the boundary. Well, we have light, and it's crossing the boundary between air and water. And we have all the criterion up to this point covered. The tendency of a ray of light to bend one direction or another is dependent on whether the light wave speeds up or slows down upon crossing the boundary. Well, we have that. We have light crossing the boundaries. We have the surface interface between air and water, and the light is slowing down as it enters the water. So everything is covered in this definition. We should expect refraction. Do we have refraction here? Nope. R refraction equals 0. What? I just satisfied all the criterion, but refraction is 0. This definition is incorrect because it's incomplete. There's a caveat here. They forgot the caveat was the incident ray, the angle, must be greater than 0. Now, you may say, yeah, okay, QE, this is, one of those points you're just needlessly picking at it. No, I'm looking for precision. We need precision out here. This is supposed to be science. I don't know what university you guys went to, but I got sick and tired of hearing precision and accuracy. This lacks complete, this not even in the vicinity of precision. And I just showed you no refraction, and I satisfied all the criterion of the definition. Now, didn't I? Yes, I did. Number 3, dagger. To establish the efficacy of Snell's law, please show photons as friggin' waves. Why? Why do you think? Well, because it's in the definition. You guys getting it now, right? From Wiki again, Snell's law, also known as Snell-Descartes law, and law of refraction. See, we got waves, right? Light or other waves, right? We got the physics classroom. We got light waves here, light waves, right? Light waves. We got light waves everywhere. Ruh-roh, Shaggy. Hey, Dick, can you please educate these ball-tard morons on what light is? From Richard Feynman, the first thing Newton believed light was corpuscular. Turned out that it had very strange properties from that point of view, and it was then explained that many of these strange properties were because, in fact, it was a wave, which was wrong. Turns out he was right. It was a particle. Huh, really? They're calling it waves up here. We got some roosters in the hen house because it's not matching the definition. Is it? No, it's not. From the chair of physics at Yale, Professor Shankar. Everything is really particles. All things, electrons, photons, light, protons, neutrons, they are all particles. So let there be no doubt about that. Your Honor, we have a problem. They're calling them waves. They don't even have the definitions correct. I recommend throwing them out on their neck. That's my recommendation. So, show photons as friggin' waves. Best wishes. Number 4. To invoke Snell's law, you must know the one-way speed of light. Why? Take a wild guess. It's in the definitions. From Hyperphysics, Georgia State University.edu. Refraction is the bending of a wave when it enters a medium where its speed's different. Really? Speed is different from what? To calculate a difference, you must know the one-way speed of light. It'd be easier sprouting Japanese maples from your armpits than finding out the one-way speed of light. If you listen to any of the recent numpty clips, you know why. If you haven't, then shame on you. So if you don't know the speed of light, the one-way speed, and you don't never will, how can you calculate a difference? Now, you know there's a difference. You can tell there's a difference. You ain't calculating it. Why? You don't have the benchmark speed. That's why. Duh. Now, I'm going to caveat this. If they're comparing two convention speeds, because the speed of light is a convention, which they are, then I'll relent on this one point. How about that? I'll leave you up for a little bit of air before I drowned you again. So don't say I didn't give you anything. Right? I hope you follow the line of reasoning here. I just wanted to stress the one-way speed of light. You don't know it. But you're good to go if you're comparing. You're staying within the convention. I have no problem. No issues. Good. Friends again? We ain't going to be after this. Number 5, Dagger. Even if we play Be Kind to Dumb Animal Ball Tart Booger Eater Week, granting them the Married Bachelor Paradox, Curved Gases, Snell's Law, Tootsie Roll Dick Adulteration, Waves Catastrophe, the One-Way Speed of Light, and Al Booby Baruni's Fairy Tale Radius Value, the Snoz Particle Chefs are still toast. Why? There is no 4 times paradoxical refractive phenomena that takes the geometric horizon and jettisons it 10 times further than it should be. Not even in their paradoxical, the 4 times paradox, not even if I grant them everything and say it's all true, there is nothing that even gets anywhere in the vicinity of moving the horizon 10 times further than it should be. Nothing. You can't even dream it up. Kablooey. Spinning space monkey glurfers. You're finished. I'd like to point out, Your Honor, that I did rest with Exhibit 1A. I just didn't want you to forget about that. We'll continue. P.S. Oh, Lord. Rays. Why are we going to stop here with rays? Why do you think I'm going to stop with rays? What's your best guess? Yeah, it's in the definition. From Hyperphysics again, Georgia State University.edu. Refraction is the bending of a wave. Yeah, right. When it enters a medium where its speed is different. Look what we got here. Light ray. Right? Let's go to Andrew Thomas Young. Snell's Law again. What do we got here? Ray of light. We got angle of the ray. We got rays everywhere. Where's Ray? Right? Let's head back to Andrew Thomas Young. Wait till you get a load of this, folks. Let's take a listen to what's going on. This is multi-layered. Some people have worried about how to apply the refraction law. What? Some people have worried? Which people? And how do you know they're worried? I digress. What is this? This is so strange. When I first read this, I said, what? What are you talking about? How to apply the refraction law? Well, what's he talking about? Snell's law, right? To such a horizontal ray of light. Listen closely. Because it does not cross any horizontal boundaries. What? You got to cross a boundary to invoke Snell's law. Now I know why they're worried. I digress. Because it does not cross any horizontal boundaries between denser and less dense air in a stratified atmosphere. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that's only one medium, not two. This has nothing to do with Snell's law. And let me give you a little secret. This one sentence destroys all of terrestrial refraction without me doing a single thing. I just destroyed it. You didn't catch it? And what's really funny, we haven't even got down to the subject area yet. So listen to this. Because it does the ray of light, because it does not cross any horizontal boundary, well, he described rays of light down here as not existing in reality. Unrealistic mental construct that are rays. We're going to get to that in a second. Do you think, Andrew, that one of the reasons it doesn't cross any horizontal boundary is because it doesn't exist? According to you? That would probably be a big reason why it's not crossing any horizontal boundaries. Don't you think? The non-existence of that thing? OMG, Andrew. This is something else on another level. You see, I got references down here, right? And we're going to talk a little bit more. We went over a couple of references by Andrew Thomas Young. We're going to get to another one just below. It seems to me that Andrew spreads these little gems across different references. They're not all in one spot. So he'll talk about his fairy tale in one reference, but he'll debunk it in a totally separate reference, like in a sidebar. This is really quite clever. And I'm wondering why he's doing this. And the only thing I can think of, and I may be mistaken, but I don't think I am, is that if he ever gets called for academic fraud, he can always go back and say, look, I told you so. It was right here. You must not have read this part. That's what he's doing. But I digress. Let's get to this horizontal. We're back to the horizontal ray. So, the simplest solution, you have a solution? Really? Let's find out what what your simple solution is. To the horizontal ray paradox, folks, we have another paradox. That makes 5. The simplest solution to the horizontal ray paradox is to remind ourselves that rays are an unrealistic mental construct. Really, Andrew? In reality, we always have a beam of light. Infinitely narrow rays don't really exist. What? They don't really exist, so you're conjuring something in your definitions, physical effects in the natural world from things that don't exist? Right from you, Andrew. This is Andrew Thomas Young. Rays. They're conjuring unrealistic mental constructs, that things that don't exist, and putting them in physical definitions. That's batshit insane. That's a reification fallacy on nuclear steroids. Listen to you need to read. You need to sit down and read this and let this sink in. Like I said, it's a multi-layered train wreck of an epic dumpster fire. Let's go to the next reference. See, he's in a different reference again. In the diagrams below, heavy lines represent rays of light. If you're not familiar with this conceptual fiction, what? Please check the optics for beginners page before continuing here. What? Conceptual fictions. So they conjure conceptual fictions and put them in their definitions in physical reality. Effects in physical reality. It's over. Welcome to the carnival tent, Narnia Odyssey, folks. This is a joke of epic proportions. Like I said, he's a witch, but he uses he's a conceptual witch. Unbelievable, huh? We're going to stop right here. 3/4 of the presentation is over because I know some people want a little airtime. I want to have them just let this sink in. Right? Let's see what they have to say. So, comments, questions up to this point.
I will go if no one else is going. Yeah, it's very good, QE. From the start, when Andrew Thomas Young states, as the atmosphere is curved, at that exact point, he's not even begging the question. He's just appealing to a belief. And then what he has to do is try and bypass Snell's law while also incorporating it by appealing to a density gradient, which leads us to more recent years where we have the likes of Mick West, who will take a fish tank of sugar water that he knows, because sugar water is dextro-rotatory, will cause that a light to bend down the way. He'll take a laser pen and point it upward so it shines up the way through the sugar water. And then obviously, because of the sugar water's effect on light, it will then make a parabola with the light.
Sugar water? Aren't you missing another thing other than the sugar water? What else you missing? The glass.
Yeah, the glass too. The glass. Oh, yeah,
that's kind of the most important thing with that, along with the monochromatic light source. I don't want you to go down this pathway. remember, I want to get back to something you did say in the beginning. You said his curved gas is a belief. No.
Yeah.
That violates gas behavior, so it can't be a belief. Follow?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. Well, the point I was trying to make is that to get this concept across, he had to basically violate reality, and also assume that light had a one-way speed that was measured. It's like trying to know the distance to somewhere in miles when you don't even know the measurement of a foot. So that's basically where I was going with it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Nathan, sir, are you still there?
Yes, I was going to say, you highlighted it best when you talked about rays. Working outside of a convention, they've devised this behavior. The behavior is of what? Oh, this idea of what a ray does. And then they apply that or superimpose it onto what Earth is doing. Yeah. Just while I'm on the mic, can you back off your mic maybe 6 inches? Overloading your mic while you're doing your presentation. Presentation, by the way.
It's not over yet.
Hello.
A bit to add if where you going, John? Right.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's why I stopped. Go.
The bit that caught my ear, again, you allude to it, Andrew Thomas Young. What he says, how he says it, and the implications, and the horizontal ray paradox is what I'm talking about. And with regards to what he's saying, whether we're talking about a ball Earth or a flat Earth, what he's talking about is a graduated atmosphere with regards to this. And he says it does not cross any horizontal boundaries between denser or less dense air in a stratified atmosphere. So is that an admission that the gradient creates no actual boundary layers for consideration?
Exactly. There's no boundary. You only got one media.
Yeah, and because I know Snell's been saying that, but that just seems a hidden way of him just pointing it out that it is one medium we're talking to, and therefore, irrespective of any density gradients that you may have, the horizontal ray paradox destroys that. That he goes on to hyperbolize and create a distraction, but that initial statement says to me that the a density gradient in the atmosphere does not create any effects that are described with regards to Snell's law. Making that clear before creating a smokescreen in the next bit.
Yes, exactly. Not even a smokescreen. He compromises himself in the rest of the definition of rays.
Well, that's what I mean. He's happy to compromise it, but by going into that. But the fundamental point is he's saying it doesn't happen. It's a paradox. It gives it a nice title. Like Nathan always says, give it a title, stick it on the front page. It's a paradox. Oh, what that means is it blows everything out the water. It means all of the nonsense I'm about to spout is wrong because this demonstrates everything I'm saying is incorrect. Hence the term paradox.
Yes.
Actually got that from Yes Minister, who's talking to a permanent secretary, and I think at the time he's just a minister. No, that's not right. He's several of the permanent secretaries talking amongst themselves, explaining how the worst thing they could possibly have is open government. The title of the paper that they're wanting to publish is called Open Government. And they're like, yeah, you deal with the dirty detail that you don't want anyone to focus on right on the front cover. In this case, paradox. You Just label it right. Just call it what it is.
We use a clever word, paradox, as opposed to completely destroys what I'm about to say. Hypothesize.
How do you like him putting those little gems in different references? You guys catch that?
Is that what you meant when you said that he's trying to stop being called out for what kind of fraud did you say it was?
Academic fraud.
Oh, that was a question I was going to ask you, John. So, come the revolution, and he's there in front of you in the court of law, are you going to let him off?
No. No, because I just presented evidence, Your Honor, that shows that there's a rooster in the hen house here. We're dealing... to call this anywhere near science is... I don't even know what that word is. This is so far away from anything science. This is strictly Carnival Tent Narnia Odyssey. That's where we're at here. I'm kind of lost for words. I can't believe that in academia. See, I was never exposed to this. This is outside of what I'm used to. In academia, this will not stand, man. This aggression will not stand.
When you're talking about sidebars and disclaimers to get away with academic fraud, the terms that immediately spring to mind for me are the description of drawing a line of sight to the geometric horizon, then going on to then describe how they're going to refract it with a radius value that they've no longer got. Point being that putting the disclaimer right there, words like line of sight, we have drawn the line of sight to the geometric horizon. Like, line of sight means you can see it, though. So, they're weaselly in its phraseology, but by the same token, we take what he's saying to maybe get away with academic fraud and just use it against them, because they're normally the disclaimers that we actually utilize, aren't they?
Yep.
There was a little bit of, I won't say academic, there was a question, you know, when you were discussing the N sin RZ was the constant bit where he's affected Snell's law, and I was starting to be corrected, but I was to look at that, and the rate of change, i.e. the amount that the light's going to curve currently, appears to be based proportionately on the rate of growth of R, which would be, you know, proportionate based on your travel. However, with regards to Snell's law, the rate of change should be based on, and we've obviously disproved this, but the rate of change of the atmospheric density, which wouldn't be proportionate to R.
Not the rate of change, not Snell's law. No.
I know we've disproved that, but within that bastardized formula that you put in.
Oh, within the bastardized formula.
Yeah. The rate of change, i.e. the rate of curve, is related to R, not the rate of change of atmospheric density. So that would imply incorrectly from observation that altitude it applies a linear relationship to density change. You understand? That doesn't exist in that maths. So, but what he's put in the maths is a rate of change related to R. But unless there's something else in there, that seems a little disingenuous.
You think?
You see what I mean?
Hold on, I'm just trying to follow what you're saying. Are you saying that as you increase in height, applicable R value for altitude, if you're applying it within that bastardization with atmosphere, have to also vary, and they don't? What are you saying?
Yeah, because put simply, the 7/6R, as you get higher, the rate that the bend occurs increases because it's proportionate to the R, so it keeps it in the field of view, doesn't it? It's trying to bend down more and has to bend down more higher up as well. that just seems linked to R, not linked to Snell's law, which is linked to not linked the density change in an isotropic medium. Again, it was just a curiosity. The formula seemed to be linked to R, not density, even though we've disproved the density.
Yeah, it's linked to R, but for the maths to be appropriate, even in the side profile Muppet vision, it would have to be tied directly to actual radius because it's based on the radius. And you're saying, well, the curvature would increase, but it's actually the radius itself that would increase as you go up in altitude, right? Basing it at standard fraction rates at 7/6R, and that's only applicable if you stood at the surface level, match up with the R value that they're then going to apply looking out into the distant Muppet vision. As you go, the R increases, right? Really?
Yeah, so at sea level, you can set your scale. R is 0, 1, or 6, 7, 9, whatever. And your air density is at a start base as well. What I'm saying is, as R goes up and the density goes up, what is the differential between those two variables that allows you to put R into your formula? Unless you're accommodating for the rate of change of R, which isn't a constant and required another huge formula, i.e. the rate of change of air density with height above sea level, which is the fundamental thing of what he's suggesting is bending the air with regards to Snell's law. Yeah. Then unless you put that relationship in there, then all you've got is R. And obviously, that's a great thing to have in there if you want it for a fix, to fix a problem. You're obviously going to bend it with R. But R isn't the thing it's bending with. In there.
Without sounding disrespectful to your point, in the days of the debate at the Isle of Man, we were talking about their refraction, and I get you've prefaced this and said, look, within their paradigm and all the rest of the thing, I can't criticise that today like I normally would, because you've already prefaced it perfectly. But debunked R, and it's a double-edged sword when you say, well, without them adjusting for a greater or an increased R value as you go up in altitude, therefore that calculation would have factored in rather than a carte blanche R, because that means all they've got is R. Slightly rephrase that to, they've got is R, and we've debunked R.
How would I put it? So if on this mathematics, you've got your first 100 feet, is the rate of change of air density from 0 to 100 feet the same rate of change from 100 to 200, same from 200 to 300? If it's not, then you can't use R, even though we've debunked R. That was my only point with that, but yeah. you chop it off at the knees.
Yeah, well, we chopped it off the knees. Remember, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution rested at Exhibit 1A. You're on 5B. No, you're not only on 5B, you've chased B down and chopped up B into 1,000 little pieces, and then you're going after the little munchkins of B.
You mean ypsilons?
Yeah. All right, let's finish this up. How you like that, guys? You're going to like this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So, let's now take terrestrial paradoxical Narnia refraction to its logical ends. How about that? And practically show what happens when you extrapolate from a multi-layered, paradoxical, adulterated, fictional, foundational fairy tale. How about let's do that? Okay? So let's take the poster child example terrestrial refraction. Guess what that is? Looming. Interesting. So looming, we have two definitions here. And by the way, before we get into this, I have never heard one time in 5 years a ball-tart, when challenged, give me Andrew Thomas Young's definition. Not once. They just make it up. They have no idea. I think they know what he says. And the reason why they don't give it to us is because they know what he says. Everyone sees what he says, and it's not what they're saying. But I digress. So we have two definitions here of what looming is. Their terrestrial refraction poster child. Here we go. So looming from Andrew Thomas Young. The appearance above the horizon of a distant object that would normally be hidden below it. Then we have his Huckleberry quantum eraser. Looming is nothing more than an optical illusion produced by the sky being inferior mirage underneath an object, giving the appearance of said objects floating above a false horizon. Your Honor, I would like to present evidence showing looming. We're going to evaluate each definition, and we're going to use their examples of looming, and we're going to see which one fits. How about that? Now, the quintessential example of looming brought up by the Ballbusters is this little monkey, right? It's ironic that we've been over this about 25,000 times in the Black Swan presentation, but I digress. We're going to do it again. So, we have this picture here, and it appears that this boat is floating, right? Now, I showed you a trick a long time ago. It's called off-center vision. You just look up here, or over here, up here, off-center vision, and you can see where the real horizon is in this photo. Now, for the folks on YouTube, you might not be able to see it. Granted, I got you. I can understand that. But if you've seen this photo outside the presentation, maybe in a like in a photograph outside the presentation, you might be able to see it. So all you have to do is do that. You see the real horizon, and then you see a false horizon. So quantum eraser's definition is the sky up here is being inferior mirage underneath the object, giving the impression that the object is floating above a false horizon. And you say, QE, you're full of it, dude. This is right here. This is the real horizon right here. There's no other horizon there. Really? So who do we need to come to the rescue whenever there's a question? Right? We have Mick. There's a fever in the funk house now. West comes to our rescue with the photo. Now, Mick was correct in calling out the media and saying that this photo, same one as above, by the way, that this photo wasn't a mirage. A lot of people in the media were saying that, look, check this mirage out, and it sort of got in Mick's craw. So he had to come out on October 1st, 2017, and set it straight. And he was correct. This is not a mirage. He points it out, not a mirage, right? He says the real horizon is here, right where I said it was. Now, what did Mick do? All he did was contrast this photo. The same thing I did, by the way, in the Black Swan, but I digress. So he contrasted this photo and said the real horizon's here, and then he showed the false horizon with a false cause. He said this is a false horizon due to fog. As anyone that can fog a mirror knows, no pun intended, that if this was fog, then we wouldn't be able to see the boat. Okay? So that's Mox Nix, brother. But I appreciate you pointing out that my definition of looming is correct. Thanks a lot, Mech. Bye now. This is from 2014. It's the Scottish Open. Don't pay any attention to the right photo over here. We don't need to look at that. We can see where the real horizon is here. No off-center vision needed, right? You can see the real horizon right here. Right? So, we have the sky being inferior miraged underneath the object, giving the impression that the object is floating above a false horizon. Huh. Whose definition does that sound like? Does that sound like Mick West? It surely doesn't. Let's go back up here to Mick West's definition, just so everyone's familiar with it. We'll get back to it down below, too. So Mick West, I'm sorry, Andrew Thomas Young's definition, the appearance above the horizon of a distant object that would normally be hidden below it. I got a question, Your Honor. Wouldn't you have to have another photo here of showing this boat underneath the horizon to make that comparison? There's nothing to see here. Just keep on walking. Friggin' clown. Right? And over here, it shows you exactly once they contrast this, right? Andrew Thomas Young is through. And for the quintessential example. Betty's raptured boats. Now, Betty's on a leave of absence. She's playing midget golf. So we got to cut her some slack. She needs relaxation time too. So let's take a look at this. We have the sky being inferior miraged underneath the objects. And you can see the collage of clouds in the reflection right here on the water. See it? See them from the clouds up here? So the sky is being inferior mirage underneath these boats, giving the impression that the boats are floating above a false horizon. Yeah, we got it right here. I can see the real horizon plainly. The false horizon is real easy because it's fragmented and across the entire transverse dimension of it. Look at all this. It's fractured everywhere. This is the false horizon, folks. And this is curtains for the ball-tard spinning space monkey religion. And anything that they say when they refraction, they can't do that anymore. They can't do it anymore. Hold their feet to the fire, and you can hold their feet to the fire with 1A. We're going to go back over that here in a second. But let's just wrap this up. Remember the two definitions. Looming. Andrew Thomas Young's definition is crapola. It's done. Whose definition is correct? His Huckleberry, Andrew Thomas Young. I just showed you multiple examples of what looming actually is. The end. Questions, comments?
Maybe I should go through the bait and switch advised by anti-flat earthers. Say that they'll draw you in with descriptions of things like looming. Might find yourself in a, like exampled minutes ago by Quantum Eraser and Mick West's examples of looming. They might be really good. In other words, they might not contrast Wee's exceptionally good description or definition of what looming actually is. What they're actually going to be employing in any of those things. At some stage in the conversation, switch out the suitcase that's containing accurate, nice, detailed descriptions of things that happen around us. Yeah, comes in sugar water. And they'll switch it out to terrestrial refraction based on an R value. They haven't got an R anymore. It's all about spotting when they do the switch and the suitcase changes. When they go from talking about how obviously light's going to bend, and I can even show you it doing it, to light bending at a rate based on a radius value. In standard form, that's 7/6 of a radius value. That's called standard refraction. Standard refraction's terrestrial refraction at a 7/6 rate. It's all based on R. They haven't got R anymore. All they'll ever try and do is swap out what seems like descriptions and R-based refraction.
Nathan, looming, right? Looming's the thing that kind of showed that Rumpus is a liar. Question for you. If Rumpus was to adopt QE's definition of looming, would it make him a liar with regards to everything he said? With the word looming in the sentence to Isle of Man. Obviously, he is a liar with regards to Andrew Thomas Young's, but would it redeem him?
No, because the reason he's a liar isn't necessarily because he hasn't got the correct definition of looming. Because when Rumpus says looming, he still means terrestrial refraction. That's just automatically incorporated into vocabulary. That bait and switch is like standard fare, standard swindle. It's expected of him, sort of thing. But the reason he's a liar is because he defined refraction when moving things with respect to the geometric horizon he was claiming to prove at the Isle of Man. So the thing that's obscuring the things in the distance, all of the drop values and hidden values, even if they're being fiddled with and refracted, they're all refracted. Well, why? How do we know? Well, to quote Rumpus, know it's refracted of its position with respect to the horizon. End quote. was when we were debating the Isle of Man. Well, as soon as 2020 1st Jan comes along and we've got a black swan argument that demonstrably shows that we haven't got a physical horizon, to then lie, say that he had always refracted the horizon. And in reality, we know damn well that tangent point is required to do the maths. Tangent point's their horizon. Without it, number one, you can't get your R value for your refraction because it's based on R. And where'd you get your R? Well, it's your tangent point in your maths now, isn't it? The point that they're utilizing claim physical obstruction, and that physical obstruction is Earth curve. And Earth curve in their maths is the horizon. Well, a refracted horizon, a geometric location claimed to block boats, buildings, and the Isle of Man. And should the Isle of Man not quite match up with the maths and where they expect it to be, they'll refract it with respect to the horizon. Geometric Earth curve, they're supposed to be proving with that maths. The moment they move the horizon, back to my opening story, they say it's refracted, that would be the horizon's refracted, and it's no longer geometric. Now, I would imagine that Rumpus understands implicitly this is a paradox he can't get around. That leaves him with no option but to lie. It also gives me an excuse to kick that asshole out of my show and never let him back. Lying.
I know, it's just good fun to remind him why every now and again. It's that whole looming with respect to the horizon is a great exemplar of how the ballers have changed their position, how they've tweaked it, how they've had to redefine what looming was even. I think even in Metabunk now, we have a loomed horizon. Is interesting. Really slightly loomed, but it allows them to loom that and then loom a bit more, which makes it all look a lot straighter, mathematically. Right. More commensurate with reality.
And they drop these words in, and they say it's a loomed horizon, as you've phrased it. I don't know about what's in. I haven't looked. I don't care to. Have looked at the maths. I'm just not now. Much as to say, a loomed horizon that's part of the bait and switch. What's looming? Well, we've gone over it, right? An effect that you can describe with a definition. Well, you could even have a couple of definitions that you could argue about. But that isn't what's applied in the maths now, is it? Looming just means, when used in that context in their maths, in their description of globe, that just means terrestrial refraction now, doesn't it, Quantum Eraser? Doesn't mean looming at all.
Precisely.
The point I was making there is all of these adjustments that we see to Metabunk, all of these things are adjustments to make it excuse why it looks so flat. If you were living on a ball, you'd be extolling the virtues of the curve, wouldn't you? Every bit of these mathematical loomings, even back in the day, all of these things are to, particularly as John shows, the redefinition of looming. The initial purpose of the looming is to excuse why that's bleeding impossible on a ball. Yeah. The reality of what looming is shows the actual motive for describing it like that. No real evidence, and plenty of evidence to demonstrate that your definition. Not telling me that John's not the first person to have shown Andrew Thomas Young that. You know what I mean? Those things were there, and those definitions are there to perpetuate the myth of the ball still. The whole purpose of that definition, it requires a ball for the definition to exist, as opposed to the reality of what you're observing.
Indeed, the Earth is obviously, observably, measurably, and navigatably flat. And if I see something like a clock or lighthouse 20 miles in the distance, all I need to do is say clock. That is the end of my explanation. In other words, seeing something in the distance requires no explanation. The Earth is obviously, observably, measurably, and navigatably flat. Why would I have to explain it? The problem comes next level from what you've just described, beyond the excuses that you're detailing as to why we observe a flat plane and how it should be excused as assumed to be spherical and an effect taking place in this respect slightly looming non-standard refraction holographic projection of a clock from behind the reified sphere edge horizon, debunked by the Black Swan. When you make that disclaimer, you make it without realizing it as a flat earther, speaking to the flat earth audience that QE presentation is for. When you say words like "we see too far," well, too far is the automatic presupposition that we would have a limitation to our view. And when we see beyond that limitation, it's quote unquote too far. That opens the gate for someone to explain why you've got a slightly looming non-standard refraction projection of something that was formerly blocked by an Earth curve that would mean it couldn't be seen, only to now be seen as a projection that isn't really there. It's actually tucked behind the edge, just projected up with the rays of light. Like, well, this concept that we use to describe how light behaves, then we take our concept and move it outside of the convention into the real world. Explain how light bends in an atmosphere that's velcroed to the Earth, moving simultaneously at the same speed, whilst in a vacuum in violation of the first law of thermodynamics. It's all perfectly reasonable. All of that explanation that was very long-winded from me started off with me saying that if I see a clock, I just say clock. A proud flat earther. If I'm a fundamentalist religious sphere-believing zealot, slightly looming non-standard refraction holographic projection of a clock from behind the reified sphere edge horizon. So that's what you've got to do. So yes, Adam, they do make excuses for why we see it as flat. Then they take effects like optics and turn them into a claim of Earth curve at a horizon, merely a limitation to your optical view or a restriction of the weather, and say that when you see the side of your own head, actually a physical horizon that gets in your way, and you know everything that's refracted is refracted because of its position with respect to that geometric horizon we've now debunked. Nice position to be in to summarize all of this in 2020. To say the Earth is obviously flat, and to deny it, to be the flat earther that says you see too far. Don't.
I might throw a cat amongst the pigeons here and ask for permission to get fancy. I'm going to ask a question, and I might be off base here, and I'm sure QE will put me straight if I am. Oh, when they're invoking their standard terrestrial refraction, they're also invoking a gravitational attraction between two masses, because they need that for their density gradient. But in 1919, Eddington and I can't remember the other man's name, they supposedly supported Einstein by claiming that they had proof that it was space-time curving that caused light to bend around the back of the sun or whatever, right, during a solar eclipse. Now, what elements from this presentation could be used against those two separate gravity arguments, although one of them is the currently held accepted description and the other one is out of date? Because both.
Go on, Brian. Sorry, I thought you'd finished.
Yeah, just saying, but that their bending of light in both instances involves gravity. Although two different descriptions of gravity, it still involves gravity. So, in what way could we use these elements that are in this presentation against those arguments, if at all?
That's what I'm going to cover now, and I'm going to shout out Father of a Stolen Child for this, right? But before I do, I'm going to agree with you, which is that you're saying atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, gradient, or this assertion, 7/6 terrestrial refraction with all of its assumptions in place, requires the gravitational attraction to hold the air in a sphere shape in violation of natural law in a vacuum of space, right? And all of that notwithstanding, true, I agree. However, I'm just going to cut through that and make your fancy pants question kind of void by using father of a stolen child's trick, which he uses on me almost daily now, which is to say that you'll need an R value for either M1 or M2, regardless of which gravity you're looking at. And we've debunked R.
That's correct. I shut down a few arguments today with that in 24/7 this morning, and can't get around it. Where's your radius?
I've got a new preferred response tonight, and that's to quote Andrew Thomas Young. With regards to that, I say, fine, have your gradient, have it bending, have a bendy gradient, take it, right? But horizontal rays do not cross any horizontal boundaries between denser and less dense air in a stratified atmosphere. That's your guru saying that to you, yeah? So have it, take it, yeah? But it still doesn't allow you for light to bend because it's one medium.
I love you, Adam.
And well, just to add to that, where are rays in existence again, Adam?
Under the sea. They hold school, don't they? They're the one that take the little fish to school.
Rays are only existing in imagination land. They're like actual only.
Yeah, that was Finding Nemo, I think. So yeah, total.
Okay,
Disney.
before we head completely off the rails, I'd like to go back real quick one before we go to the panel and go across with Exhibit 1A as evidence again, if you guys would entertain me with that. Yes?
Remind me just what 1A was. It's the Epsilon 1A.
It was Exhibit 1A where the prosecution rested on terrestrial refraction. It's on screen right now.
Yeah.
So I just want to go through it again because this is the rub that I would like to make sure it burns in everyone's retina because they can easily destroy terrestrial refraction with this. Now, they could choose other ones, but I want this to burn in their retinas, if you don't mind. Whenever balltards refraction, they're unwittingly invoking terrestrial refraction. But as we can see from Andrew Thomas Young from San Diego State Astronomy Department, subject matter expert, in the description, there's two necessary conditions that must exist. You see these two right here? He tells you right there. This is the one I want to focus on. This little paradox right here, right? For terrestrial refraction to exist, like I said, two conditions. Those are necessary antecedents must exist. You must have curved gases. Curved gases, listen to that. That is the atmosphere. Remember, the atmosphere, atmosphere is a paradox. Atmo means air. Air is a gas. Sphere is a shape. Gases have no inherent shape. If you think they do, then you must show gases having a shape. And if you even try, if you even question it, you would fail first grade intro to gas behavior. Literally. Let's go over it again from Christy Bodak, Southwestern University. Right here. See this? Grade level. I will use this lesson with a first grade class. If an object is in a gaseous state of matter, it will not have a definite shape. It is all over. Right here, Your Honor. The prosecution rests. It's dead. Thank you. Have a nice day.
For those comments that I write 2 or 3 times a day, or 3 times a day in the chat feeds. Someone will assert atmosphere. Out very quickly. I've got repetitive for it now. So it's atmo equals air. Sphere equals fundamentalist religious presupposition. Air has no inherent shape.
I like that full description, John. The geeking me, because it's kind of, if an object is in a gaseous state of matter, it will not have a definitive state or a definitive volume, and that's the lovely bit between when we talk about states of matter. That's the subtle difference between it and a liquid. As opposed to then the sort of this with solids. That's the beautiful thing that destroys so much of the rhetoric. As as we talk about before, that rebellious gas molecule. It won't hold a volume. It's completely independent, each individual one, unlike the other states. What they try to do when they give us the flim-flam, try to keep pretending or put the image in your mind that they aren't individuals acting individual. Quite an analogy there, isn't there, in terms of how they control us now. But that's the reality with gas molecules. They're gas molecules when we talk about them, not with regards to the other states where we're talking about whole things. Why you can't contain them. I have done me ramble there, John. I know.
No, you're good. You're good. There's, silence is sometimes golden. I don't mind it.
So, findable if we had a TV station.
So, in summary, we can prove the Earth's a ball if we presuppose something antithetical to the inherent behavior of gas. Then we reify an unrealistic mental construct of rays that don't exist. And then we just ignore the fact that there's no horizontal boundary at all that exists. Then that makes the Earth a ball.
You're off to get a first degree at Ball Academy, aren't you, with that? Love it.
Shout out to Witsit, man. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Great presentation, my dude.
If you want,
You should just enroll, take the exams, and then leave. Witsit. Love it.
a much easier route though. Far quicker to just say, write this down if you will. Don't understand.
Oh, yeah. Just wait till QE gets done with his presentation. Say, this is a great globe Earth proof.
That's good. That's next level. Now you're learning.
That's next level.
Try it. I'm going to try that. Thanks, Witsit. You know what, QE? That was an excellent globe-proof presentation you just made.
And even though light isn't waves, and well, waves aren't actual things, we can presuppose and reify that they're actually waves, even though they're clearly not. And then we can reify that within the assumption of the ray that isn't a real thing. And then we can presuppose the horizontal boundary. And there you go. Earth's a ball.
And that'll make it all better. And keep your ball then, can't you? It's lovely. Lie to yourself.
Have you heard that story about the rebellious gas particles?
Those are my favorite.
In their bras at the Carmen line.
That's not a story. You got to get the full story. People were out there waiting for the full story. You just can't say Carmen line rip out their bras. That's it.
Okay. Well, obviously, the first initial gas particles that left the fledgling Earth merged from the ground, flew up at a great velocity. Gases do. All disbanded in all directions, in line with entropic law. Some gas particles reached a certain point, later became known as the Carmen line. They said, you know what? Sod this. Why are we obeying these natural laws? Could just keep going in the direction we're traveling. I quite like it here. Let's just chill. What's the rush? A few of them banded together. Yeah, chill here. We'll turn our bars in rebellion of gas law. And we'll just chill. So over time, they all got a bit fat and then sort of sunk back down to Earth. Off it, and the process continued. They all chilled, and that's how the story of gas without containment came to pass. It's all true because I made it up myself.
Over the numbers of years, the millions of years, they inbred lazy gas particles. And that's why there's only a 4% escape of the atmosphere now. It's only 4% of them are still awake. They're the ones that still follow gas behavior properly. The rest, they go into this woke leftist kind of gas particle behavior. I don't ascribe to it myself.
it all gets very political if you read the full backstory and narrative of the rebellious gas particles. Obviously, they'll eventually separate into different factions and various different wars, and it all gets very bloody at one stage. But ultimately speaking, they're all defiant of gas law, with the exception of the 4% that say no, we will just simply obey the gas laws and travel in all directions until we encounter something to smack into. And until then, we'll just keep going.
Well, the gas particles can actually self-identify as being immune to gas law.
Also, they put on weight. Don't forget that. They put on weight.
That's kind of what I did. I didn't want to become non-politically correct when I said that some of the gas particles identify as solids.
Is that what this trans-isomerism is all about then?
Correct, trans-isonicism.
Isonicism?
Isomerism. Yeah.
Isonicism is when it's the transition from a gas particle that is actually a gas particle in truest sense and state, ultimately believes, the bloody word is to make the joke funny. What did I change it to again?
Isonicism?
Isonicism, that sounds about right. Good enough for the gag to continue. They decided that they identified as either solids or liquids. So when they bonded together, say that they were going to be in rebellion. Obviously, that bonding process was really a kind of emotional bond, not a physical bond. They identified that bond being like the bond have if you were a liquid or a gas, and that would enable, density equilibrium to start over, and that would give them an excuse to rebel against the gas law. Like I said, it all got very political.
So basically, natural law is just a product of the patriarchy.
You could look at it that way. You can think of it as patriarchy.
A critical state theory.
All right, it seems that a lot of people are already tuckered out. I don't mind that. Like I said, silence is golden. If we want to go through the panel, that would be okay. Nathan, sir.
I can't do it. You'll have to do it.
I didn't think you could.
Lazy gas particle.
Yeah, he's a lazy gas particle. Yeah. So I can do it. I can definitely do it. So, Arwen. You come off mute, but I don't hear anything. Oh, he's gone.
Describe day, flat Earth early bird. Every day.
Every day. We'll give him a second to come back in. Yep, we got you back, Arwen. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. After a while, just the volume just gets cut off. But yeah, it's been a great show so far. Can barely find a place to add anything. I tried at first in the middle of the presentation, but I wanted. So just been having dinner and listening to you guys talk, and it's all good.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Brian. Is he on mute again? Yeah, why does that do that? Sorry about that, Brian. I don't know what's going. You must be special. Every time you come in, you go immediately on mute.
Discord's racist.
No, that's my fault all the time, because what happens is I end up with my phone running out of power, and so I end up having to leave the call or something like that. So when I come back in, this time I just pressed hang up by accident instead of pressing the unmute button. So it's not your fault at all.
I figured when I said Brian and I didn't get anything at all, I said, "Oh yeah, let me check." All right, you're good. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't have really much to say. I really enjoyed the presentation, and it speaks for itself. I mean, how do I critique it? It's like there's no critiquing. What can I add to it? Nothing. Excellent. Really, really good. And I'll be referring back to it. Thanks for doing it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No worries.
Conceptual concrete. That's a good one. Conceptual concrete. What do you got?
Hello. Another great Ballbusters, as always.
Thank you, sir.
I need to let it sink in Maybe later I'll have questions. But great show. Thanks.
Yep. Appreciate it, man. Yep. Don Geo, sir. That's what I thought. Oh, we got Drace. Shout out to Drace. How's it going, sir? You are off mute.
Hey, good presentation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I hope you got a lot out of it. You might be hearing it again.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
I bet everyone is. Oh, we got Geo. Thanks, man. Geo, what's up, Mom? Geo Love, you are off mute, sir.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I actually popped in a little late, so I actually didn't hear the whole presentation. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the whole thing. But I know you brought this up the other day that you had it ready to go, so it's awesome that you ended it here. So I'm gonna have to go back and check it out.
Yeah, I'll catch up with you too, man. We'll go over it.
Cool, sounds good.
Yeah,
but good show.
Thank you. Glowy Chizzo. You got
Good so. How's it going?
good.
Yeah, great show. Yeah, whenever refraction is invoked now, I'll have to ask where the boundary is next time somebody says this.
Yeah. Where's the boundary in the curved gases? Ask them where the curved gases are first. They have to show that first. Why? Well, it's part of the definition.
Will do.
And if you don't have that, you don't have terrestrial refraction. That means you can't bagok it. That's over for you. Yep.
Show me curved gas. Show me a boundary.
Yes, sir. That's it. Thank you. Neil. Go ahead, rush over there to get off mute.
Ho. I'm playing Frisbee. You know, I have young children, so I got to stay young. I got to throw the Frisbee. I got to play the baseball. Okay, don't you need a radius for all of those things anyway?
Yeah, that's the second part of it. Yes, you can use that. I have no problem using the second part of that definition because it's a necessary antecedent. Yes.
But curved gases, I don't think they're going to come up with any. Excellent presentation, as always. I learn a lot all the time, you know that. But let me ask you a question just real quick. Where does my son find your information on, what's that again? What the freak? I'm drawing a blank.
The website?
Evolution.
Just go to my channel and always go to the, thanks for saying this because this is really important. Go to the playlist. That's where the gold is because there's a lot of videos on my channel now after it's been up for a couple years. Go to the playlists, right? I have them outlined. I have them subject referenced. Just go to the playlist and you'll see one on evolution. I'll guarantee it.
That's a copy. Thank you.
You're welcome. Rags to riches. Floor is yours, sir.
Good presentation.
Is that it?
I'm in the store. Ain't got much.
I got you, man. I knew you were either on the road or in the store. Cool. Okay. Sarah.
John,
Yes.
QE, before you go on from what Neil was just asking.
Yep.
For me, if I was looking at that and I wanted to actually show people stuff and present them with a kind of catalogue of stuff that will take them through that, I'd go to your website, mate, globeterminator.com. Click on Bruce the Creator. It's more than enough. There, that I think was also if you actually want some detail with references and stuff, then that for me, if from my point of view, from my geeky point of view, if someone was addressing what Neil said to me, the detail in there is what would sway me.
Yeah, I think you could get it. I think you could go through the website also because I think there's either way would work. But yeah, if you want to go to the website, if you want to pull references off, that would be probably best. Yes.
mute, Adam. You back. I'll give two different
Very good.
recommendations. A bit out of left field, but my recommendation. So, the first would be to check out the Barry Schweitzer call it discussion that you did on originally, and then remade it recently.
Oh, the signature numpty clip with Mary Schweitzer?
Yes. In that presentation, focused on aspect, evolutionist claim, loads of detail that debunks evolution as a whole, whilst being very engaging, covering this subject, bring claimers and claims that are made thereafter. Wrapped up within that, could ever really need to know how evolution and how it's bunk, but wrapped up in something that's also engaging for reasons rather than just searching it directly on the website, which I'm sure is epic. I don't know, I've not looked, I'm sorry. But yeah, that would be my first recommendation. Second, again, which is a bit out of field, be to go and check out any of the presentations, delayed choice, eraser, double slit experiments. Pretty much the same reason, just a very different tangent. Now, would actually probably be my first recommendation. You get a good idea of scientific method, how evolution is bunk, how there's a creator, the whole shed load of stuff that you get out of any of Quantum Eraser's presentations on the delayed choice or Eraser itself, namesake of the channel. And I'm smiling while I'm saying this because it's the namesake of the channel. So any of the presentations on that particular subject, very much all encompassing, especially around science, flat Earth, God, and debunking evolution, to speak to the point that asking regards to presumably his son. That would be for me, that would be my first recommendation. I'd go and look at the one you want to know about evolution, how it's bunk, and knowing the ontological primitives and how they're proven on the positive or contrapositive to evolution claim. You need to look at the delayed choice, eraser, or double slit experiment. That's got all of that information in it as well, along with good stuff about science. So that would be
Hold on, I missed that, Nathan. Which one was that?
Any
Look at
of
what?
the presentations on the delayed choice quantum eraser or double slit. I don't know what the titles are. Hopefully you'll rattle them off for you now.
If you want the delayed choice quantum eraser, the best presentation on that is go into the description underneath any one of my videos, and you're going to find the delayed choice quantum eraser and double slit explained. It's right there under any video that you pull up. The description box is gold. Now, it might not be with a lot of presenters, but I put a lot of information in that description box. I would always go there first. Go.
Know what I mean? Is that one of your presentations specifically, though, or is it just a bit with Morgan Freeman?
Well, it has the Morgan Freeman one in there, too. That's down lower.
Presentation by you about the quantum eraser, right?
Yes, both are there. Yep.
Check that out, Neil. Go to the description box below any of Quantum Eraser's shows and go to the Delayed Choice Quantum Eraser Explained link and give that to your son, and he'll learn about science and how evolution's bunk just by watching that.
Gold, thank you.
Neil, advice I give my son. Yeah, I was probably classed as a clever kid, brought up believing in God, etc., etc. And as I got cleverer and cleverer, I decided that was bunkum and evolution was correct. And I got all the way through degree status into later life, and then started to ask more questions. And reason it wasn't new evidence that changed my opinion again. It was greater detail that changed my evidence. And I think what QE does here is he's adding greater detail. Outside of the rhetoric you can build around the simple fact that in evolution you get different chaffinches on different islands with a fanciful story. Actually, when you go and look at the molecular biology level, You look at these things, if you look in any of the subjects we're talking about, when you look in the detail, you see how you're getting colluded, and how that narrative that we're fed has to be false when you get the extra detail. I think that's hopefully what he'll go and look at it. So particularly with evolution, it's very, very simple. John's done loads of great stuff. Dinos, just the complexity of the cell itself is a destruction of itself for evolution. But I would encourage him, if he's going to hold an opinion, hold the most qualified.
Well, the good news, Adam, is that he's on the right side of this argument. He's put a video out, and it got like thousands of hits, and he's debating people about evolution. And he's got this one guy that's just come with nonsense at him. So he came and he asked me if the guys I listen to talk about evolution. So that's my in to get him, opened up to because you guys are smart. He ain't stupid. So, but he's on the right side of this argument.
Working outside of a convention, categorize things. Got this called the taxonomic classifications. You group things together and say animals are X, this group of animals are Y. So they're mammals, these are lizards. It's ever more specific, right? Then when you work outside of the convention, you start describing how one group has turned into another group. The groups themselves have been arbitrarily laid down as descriptions by us. When you work within inside the convention, i.e. the taxonomic classifications, it's a very useful convention describing things, grouping things together so that you can describe them to others. The problem occurs when you work outside of the convention, which is something that we've also covered on this particular show, working outside of conventions, right? But that's what it is. So although we always say, oh, well, when someone says evolution, what's that? In other words, get them to define what it actually is. I'm not trying to give anyone lend a helping hand when I say working outside of the convention of the taxonomic classifications to describe how sort of melded from one to the other is just the nonsense. It's got to be a fallacy, I don't know which, but working outside of a convention is just not, it doesn't make the thing reality, or your description of how your one group you've described or arbitrarily aside has changed into another. And when you describe it to someone in that way, how, moving up the evolution line, when you see from whatever they've got, primitive man up to man standing holding a calculator or a mobile phone upright, well, each of those, if they're actually animals, are being classified by us. This is a group. The monkeys, right? Well, to say that group has turned into the other group is just working outside of the convention. Makes sense, Neil?
Yes, it does, and you're all over it. That's where he's at now. And actually, that's where he's asking the guy to define evolution first. That's this guy's whole thing. He's an animal activist and believes animals have rights. So it's just a door for him to get in here. So I'm breaking through it.
Tell him to agree with that. That's quite a reasonable. Animals should have rights, shouldn't we? We should treat them with respect and rights. But what Nathan's saying, I totally agree. Taxonomy is one thing, and if I want to classify different inchy type birds and classify it in one way and describe their intricacies in such a way, but then to take one of those intricacies and mix match it with another species and trying to pretend because those intricacies match they have some derivation in the past is as fanciful as pretending that a whale originated from the hills of Kashmir out of a dog, which is
Adam's still stuck on that whale dog. Yeah, I know it's in his mind's eye.
Pakistani whale dog. Yeah, nonsense. It's the greatest exemplifier of how they use taxonomy to, which is legit, fine, but they use those subtle little links to jump from one thing to the other to build a fanciful tale, to the point that you have a dog in the hills of Kashmir that went down, found the water, ran out of food on the hills, went into the sea, got on what it was doing, stuck a hole in its head, started breathing and blowing stuff through that. Yeah, and that's how we've got whales. It's just that's how ridiculous the tail has to be, and all of this randomly and genetic via natural selection. And that's the worst bit, Neil. They transmutate this thing, natural selection, yeah, which I think does occur for adaptation, yeah, with what is really, as we've said in the past, the pretense that you've built a sandcastle, yeah, on the sea, and the wave comes in, and as it goes out, nothing wrong with the sandcastle, but you've got an extra conservatory built on the side. This is the nonsense of evolution. That's not adaptation, which is inbuilt within God's great design for us to survive within his dynamic system. What was it?
That whale dog has really set this all in motion. I knew when I first presented it that it affected Adam at a deep level.
What I'd like to know is how did jellyfish get here?
Oh, goodness. Back to the, hey, Nathan, back to your fallacy. You said, which fallacy is it? It's non sequitur via begging the question fallacy because it's a category error going from the convention. Nothing wrong with conventions, but once you come outside that convention and make claims from the convention on reality, that's just a category error. It's non sequitur via begging the question.
You're
welcome.
To expand on what Adam said, though,
Go ahead.
because he's saying, kind of inferred that the adaptation aspect could be misconstrued or misinterpreted by somebody. Say that when there's something adapts, so got brown bears turning into white bears because of climate, for the sake of argument. I know that doesn't necessarily happen. I'm just saying that was to occur. So there are better examples on the spot, so forgive me. But in that scenario, the information that to occur already contained within whatever creature that is undergoing that change. In other words, it triggers process, the instructional information carry out that process very much already there. And to contrast that, in terms of when there are genetic alterations, they're always negative. In other words, they're never a mutation, in the truest sense, that is beneficial. And if there's a misunderstanding about how there's an adaptation, as Adam described, the information to do so is already contained within whatever it is that's changing, and then the change occurs, not really going to lead on to further adaptations that will be incrementally changing one thing into another based on classified that we've given them. So, summarize, I know that was a lot of information just off one point, Adam, or one word Adam said. The adaptation bit is already contained within the DNA. The information is already there. To see it happen and go, wow, that thing's adapting and we're seeing evolution in process before our eyes. Well, no, you're not. You're seeing an adaptation that was already genetically coded to merge if required. And likewise, if there's a mutation, as it's sometimes described by evolutionists, going to be a detriment, whatever is happening. The error is not going to be of benefit. That's clear.
Not in the long run. It's funny that we got off on evolution when this presentation was on refraction. Refraction, because there's nothing left there. I'm just smiling, right? Just sitting back smiling about it. Because it's over.
Can I say?
Yeah, something quickly, quickly, so I can move on to. I know Sarah Guka has been waiting here for about 25 minutes.
Hey, real quick. I'm waiting for bacteria that's resisting antibodies to become fruit flies, and I'm waiting for those fruit flies that they've been trying to manipulate for years to become birds. Has that happened yet?
Yeah, hold your breath. Sarah Guka. Oh, sorry about that. You're on mute. Sorry, man. Oh, boy. Go ahead, sir. Or ma'am. Floor is yours.
No, I didn't necessarily think I had something to add to that, but I'll let you know. It was a good presentation. Very interesting topic.
You're very welcome. Shines. Oh, sorry, you're on mute too. Sorry, that's the way we have it set up so it protects us.
No worries, totally understand. It was a fantastic presentation. You really do have a way of being able to show like things that have already been known in a way that is so perfect and clear and concise. And I'm just excited to then be released into all the VCs and all the conversations that will happen about atmosphere and curving gases and the boundaries and, you know, all the different things that it's just going to be, it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you for all of it.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm glad you see now that came from the gut. You see how she appreciated that? I could tell right from the gut. It just wasn't a form letter. That's what I'm talking about, Shines. I got my eye on you.
I see you too.
Sign. Thanks a lot, Shines. Appreciate that. Sign. Floor is yours.
Yeah, bro. I missed the presentation, but keep up the good work, Huey. Always good stuff from you, dude. Expect nothing less.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Yeah, we got bypass. Witsit, sorry, Witsit, you got to change that W. You'd be first, right? W, you're always going to be at the end, man. I appreciate you showing up, man. Thanks very much.
Yeah, of course. That's my name, man. I can't change it. But I do think that this is this is a presentation for the flat earthers, right? And then everyone should listen to what QE's saying because it is the most effective, concise way to respond to the nonsense that they parrot. Just immediately go at, well, the first presupposition that you need is that this gas is supposedly curving around this presupposed fairy tale sphere. Gases don't do that, though. So you can't let them get past that, right? We kind of just play their games, but no, just please explain to me how gases have no inherent shape, but it's curving. They'll hone in on that, of course, and they reify the radius value that's in contention, and that's a category error. Then they try to fluctuate it as if the Earth is breathing, and then it's just layered nonsense. And then there's no boundary, and then you have to take a unrealistic concept of array that doesn't exist, and then reify it. And waves don't even exist. Waves aren't things, and so how are you going to use something that's not a thing using an unrealistic, concept that doesn't exist of array, assuming a boundary that doesn't exist around curved gas that doesn't exist. So, if you just go straight to the heart of their presuppositions, then it kind of ends it from the beginning. And now you have an issue because we see a horizon 10 times too far, right? And so I think it's important to take QE's presentation and apply it from the jump instead of kind of playing their games, because you're playing with people that are dishonest and have like emotional connection to the conversation, so they're going to be dishonest and they're going to water down the conversation. So just decapitate them from the beginning. So I think it's useful, and I think that it was a good presentation per usual, sir.
Thanks, Witsit. That's exactly what I want them to do. Don't just take the presentation. I want them to take the presentation, the substance, especially the first couple points. You don't need to go down the 5 daggers. No need for that. Just stay at 1A or 1B, whatever you're more comfortable with. I say 1A. Because you'll be there for a long time with 1B. You'll still end up at the same place. I'm just trying to save you some time.
That was one breath. I wonder what happens the second breath with it.
Yeah, he has the gift of that. Thanks a lot, sir. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, thank you.
Yeah, Saraguki. Am I saying that right? Saraguka, he did have a mulligan. He wanted to go ahead and say something. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to address one of these comments I see popping up about how, assuming that light is traveling through the air and it becomes an ever denser gradient in one direction, then, light would travel in a concentric circle above the surface of the presupposed Earth. So I just wanted to add to that my understanding would imply that in the opposite direction, then the light would curve the other way and you would have no visibility in the other direction. Or am I wrong?
No, I wouldn't go that far. There's still curved gases. They got to show curved gases first to even entertain the question. See how I did that? Because there's no sense in me going down that trail. I like to just cut it right off at the knees. Once you show curved gases, not you, the general you, or the royal you. Once you show me that, then we can embark on the mysteries of curving light rays that don't exist.
Yeah, I guess we're always just supposed to accept these fallacies on the face of them before we even start talking about the topic.
Yeah, that's the key. You got it, sir, is to identify them quickly so you don't have to deal with them, because you'll be there for countless amount of time. It just depends on how many fallacies you got to deal with, right? Why?
I want to support him. This could be a dagger 6, because you do presuppose all of this nonsense in terms of bending. Then actually, if the light is leaving the surface of the Earth, what kind of mutant elephant man image is going to be received viewing from space? What it ain't is a blue marble. Is the reality, because they're describing blue marble describes light leaving straight to the eye. Yeah, there's no distortion, certainly no 7/6R in a blue marble image. So that would be a final death blow. But you're right, to try and then comprehend what that would look like is just entering into retarded, isn't it?
Thanks, Adam. Hey, appreciate it. Hey, Witsit, before you have to get up out of here, Witsit's a busy man. If you could shout out your channel and what you've been doing, because I might not get back with you and I want everyone to know. So go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Witsit Gets It on YouTube. We're traveling the U.S. and then we're hitting major cities and, posting up and pulling out the microphone and flat smacking people. So, good times. We actually did a WWE flat smackdown last night, a WWE shows. But yeah, that's what we're doing. We're traveling the U.S. and then all of our activism will be on Witsit Gets It.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much. I'm glad I remembered that. I'd have kicked myself. I'd have left the show and not. Yeah, with shines. Yeah, I know. Thanks a lot, sir.
You said we. Well,
go ahead, Nathan.
Just the driver. Just Chris and I, the driver.
Okay.
Respect, bruv. I loved it cruising through Italy. So enjoy it, mate. It's a different vibe when you engage with people. Like the internet's one thing. Actually, when you're on face to face with people, it's amazing what you achieve, I think.
It's quite another. I found this. I agree. It's quite another. If you haven't checked it out, check out Witsit's channel. He does public speaking engagements outside to everyone, open air. Right? There's no he can't hide anywhere. Right? And he just deals with the truth. I love watching him. Keep doing it, brother. More power to you.
I'll do it, man. Thank you.
Do they all run away and scream, "Earth is flat," like that? Hysterical, bro.
So we could only hope that they were all as open-minded as her. She took what I said as the gospel.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
Clip. Minneapolis was filled with flat earthers. It was really impressive.
You're talking about that black girl that freaked out. You told her about flat Earth, and then she sort of went screaming.
Yeah, she said, "Oh shit! Hey, the Earth is flat."
Witsit, right? We've on FE on Nathan's Flat Earth debate. We've been chatting with Neil. Neil is being eased through this passage, and I just wonder whether Neil, bro, you should get on the bus. Yeah. Get out there with Witsit and do some of the things with a bit of support. I think it'd help vent some of those issues you've got, bro. Because a lot of the times when I listen, and
hey, no.
Hey, no, let me finish before you savage me.
I'm not comfortable with flat Earth. That's how nuts they get.
That's why I'm defending you. I'm saying a lot of the times when people hear it, what I hear you is actually I hear myself. And that's why I went on the bus. Yeah, get out there, Bennett. And actually, I said there's a difference when you engage with people. It really makes you realize that this bullshit internet world isn't the wall you're facing up against. Yeah. And if you go out there, I think it'll ease some of the frustrations of like being, you know, Captain Kirk on the Enterprise or whatever.
Captain
Those
Kirk.
bits.
Hey,
there are many
hey, hold on a
rumpuses in the
second.
real
Hey, what's
world.
it? I'm going to go ahead and play that live. So what everyone's talking about is this little scenario. So I'll go ahead and play it live. You guys won't see it in Discord, but I'm going to play it live for everyone to see. So maybe 2 times. So here we go.
The Earth is flat.
Who's flat?
The Earth is flat.
The Earth is flat.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. The Earth is flat.
We'll do it one more time, man. It's so great.
The Earth is flat.
Who's flat?
The Earth is flat.
The Earth is flat.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. The Earth is flat.
There you go, sir. Tribute to you. I nearly peed myself.
Yo, Witcher's reaction gets me cracking up too. That's the gem.
Yeah. Shout out to Witsit, man. It's outstanding. Thanks, man.
That's the closest I've seen to my own reaction. I'm not even joking. I went and woke my wife up in the middle of the night when I heard it voiced by Math Powerland for the first time. I went and took her out of bed and went, the Earth's flat. Like gestured because it was still dark at the window. Say, out there, it's flat. No, and she's like, oh, I'm asleep.
That's brilliant, isn't it? Wait, so that's fantastic. That's exactly what went off in my brain when it suddenly dawned on me. That's class. I don't know if
And
that
you just
was a
want to
real-
run around and tell everybody, you know, and then you find out, like, damn it, there's a bunch of zombies out here.
Now, she took it as read, man. She took it right from you. Like, it's golden. Oh, shit. That was classic. Oh, shit. Here's flat, man. I loved it. Outstanding. Shout out to James Mays. All right, cool, sir. What's up? Yeah, it's nothing but the rain, man. Yeah, thanks a lot, sir. Thanks for your support. And Retro Bill, thanks, QE. One of the highlights of my week. Thank you, Retro Bill. Hopefully, this is a keep that keeps giving, if you know what I mean. So thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate that. All right, who we got left? But I'm glad we got you in there. What's it? I would have kicked myself if I didn't get that shout out for you in your channel because it's outstanding.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Zedek, is that how you say that? Zedek? What you got, Zedek? Floor is yours, sir.
Oh, nothing. I'm just hanging out and listening.
Outstanding. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Hope it helps you out. There was a couple other people that jumped in here. Phoenix Rising 86. Floor is yours, sir. Or ma'am.
No questions. I just wanted to add to what about evolution and what Nathan was saying about resistance and how you're taking away. And can't remember the gentleman's name. He was an authority in it. He said it's like taking the robber's hands and cutting them off, or that robbers cut their own hands off, so it makes it chemically harder to deal with the situation.
That's funny you mentioned that. I have a scenario similar to that when I explained, I can't even remember, so many years ago, but that's what that brought me back to it. But I don't want to get on evolution again. This is not an evolution presentation. So appreciate it, man. Thanks. Let's see if I missed anyone else. I have.
Ants equals love.
Say again?
Ants or race.
I can hardly hear. Why am I struggling to hear you?
Right, it's because I'm talking quietly. I turned myself down after listening to the live stream where I was miles too loud.
You're not too loud.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Harold J. Floor is yours, sir. Or ma'am.
No comment. Thanks for the show.
Appreciate it. Let's see if you said I missed somebody else. Oh, the Fire Lotus Dimension up here. Is that what you were saying, Nathan? One second. Is it Fire Lotus Dimension? Floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. You're fine.
Okay, I seen I didn't have permission to speak, so I was a little.
You do now. I granted
patient.
it.
Thank you so much. I don't necessarily have anything to say. I've just been paying attention here and there, along with my husband, for quite some time now. I enjoy everything y'all talk about, and thank you so much for putting it out there.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate that. The silent masses. That's what I'm we've been talking about this over the past couple weeks. Or the silent masses out there that they're not really saying all that much, but they're out there listening. Yeah. You're one of those.
Well, from time to time, I do come in and say something. I think it's in the chill room. I've been talking here and there, but
cool.
Yeah, just getting to know the system. I can't state anything in specifically. I'm just a free-thinking individual. My practice leans more towards the flat Earth than anything because that has all probable. How do I explain it? It has all legitimacy towards my understanding. So I appreciate it a lot, and I like hearing all perspectives on how this rolls. So much appreciated. Thank you.
You got some wisdom on you, so sit back and listen, right? And then gather all the information. Yeah. I like that.
Observe. I like to observe. I do speak my mind in places of which I feel certain, but other than that, if I don't know, I don't bother putting my 2 cents into that category, and I just observe for the most part and chime in here and there.
Wiser words have never been spoken.
Well, much appreciated. And I think I'm done. Let somebody else go if they just came into the room, but I appreciate everything, and thank you for letting me speak.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming. Come back again. All right, let's see if I missed anyone else here. We got everyone, Harold J. We got everyone. Everyone's covered. So, Nathan, sir.
Oh, we've got getting snubbed.
You're not getting snubbed. You had your chance.
I didn't.
You didn't? Well, go ahead. Go ahead. You're good.
I kill at least 6 minutes for the Flat Earth debate. A new show starts. So come on.
I'll be really quick then now.
6 minutes. You're not going to make it because Adam's that's just in his first breath.
I got a page of notes. No. I've enjoyed tonight. I'll keep it. So I will keep it. I mean, if there's any learning, there's 5 daggers, isn't there? And like the rest are refractions, like big bit of Swiss cheese, and you can stick those 5 daggers in, and whatever slice you take, whatever argument they've got, look, I haven't shown tonight, it's full of holes. Proper Swiss cheese. So you can choose point 1A, which is probably advisable. I really enjoyed 5, A, B, and C. But the reality is there's nothing in it. So when they back, the rest of the just know you're on to a winner is all I'd say.
I could tell that you liked the 5s. I could. It was readily apparent. Nathan, sir, my good sir, take us home.
Before we go home, one more summary that you should definitely take the short route in terms of ending curved atmosphere. That is the shortest route, and while I prefer to take the R-based route, demolishes quite a few things. It bulldozes them down along that path, but to be proficient with all of those arguments in order to do that, it does take longer. So, take the advice that QE's given you in terms of this particular presentation. And before I do round out, also, as we've got at least 3 more minutes to kill, right? Can I nominate what the subject will be next week? And it's something we've dropped anchor on, but it's come up 2 or 3, maybe even 4 times over the last couple of weeks on the debate in terms of people who've come along, and it seemed to me that they'd benefit from a better understanding scientific method. Account of the fact that people are now reverting back to hearing that this is science and that is science, and I'm being asked about how Cavendish has got lateral gravitational attraction and things like this. Like, whoa. We got so far with people understanding, you need to apply the scientific method. And I think people, there's maybe a lot of newbies, I don't know, would definitely benefit from knowing what questions to ask. In that example with Cavendish, it's like phenomena that's observed. Those understandings only come from having a good knowledge of the understanding of the scientific method. So how would you feel about not dropping anchor on it, but doing it in a fortnight's time, next show on science and the scientific method, because there is no scientific evidence for a sphere Earth.
You want to do that?
Can I add to that?
You want to do that for the next Ballbusters? Is that what you're saying?
I would like to, because I think there's a lot of new people, certainly to my channel, thanks to a load of shout outs and a load of promotion that you included gave me. And obviously I was the first to thank you specifically for doing that. And, you know, those new beebs with a better understanding of science and the scientific method, because we're called science deniers as flat earthers, and there is no scientific evidence of the sphere. But to be able to make that assertion in the old way that we do here, you need to understand what the method is, so that if something random like, well, Cavendish is a scientific experiment and it proves there's gravity, you do next. You need to know what the scientific method is, because then it would tell you to ask what phenomena is being observed. You'd only know that if you've got a good understanding of the method. We need to keep reminding people. I mean, yeah, it was 6 months ago that we dropped anchor on it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, not a problem. So the next Ballbusters will be the scientific method, natural science. Let's do it again.
Can I add to your workload? I've been this week with Nathan, and I agree. But I think what also needs differentiating, and that's just one of the lectures. I think you could agglomerate the two with regards to difference between scientific method and natural law. Because this week we had somebody on, Nathan, that was at one point one of his strongest vehement felt positions was that natural law could be changed, but gravity used to be a law, therefore the second law of thermodynamics could in the future be changed. I think if you could maybe just highlight science, natural law, and you know, even just the difference between those two, and just add that differential, because like I say, this week for me, people are coming in and they're arguing, and that seems to be the confusion that probably didn't get covered, but was what this gentleman's argument was. He felt he had a valid position to challenge the second law of thermodynamics, because in the past we say gravity was a law, but now we say it's not. And what laws actually mean in terms of natural, and what that is in terms of no relationship to scientific method and scientific evidence.
Okay. Yep. I can add that to it. Sure. Yep.
I think that's a.
Could I add something very, very quick?
Go ahead, Brian.
Very, very quick. Just on that topic, I think it's most important, rather than the full method being taught, I think it's most important that people recognise that there needs to be an observed phenomenon. That's the most important part, isn't it? Because if there's no observed phenomenon, then there is no experiment.
Yep.
And that's where it goes.
Those last 3 points were the most valid. I think the next show should be phenomena, science versus law.
Okay. Yeah, we could do that. I got it written down.
Perfect. Because I think you're right, Brian, and Adam as well. That was the main issue. It's like, well, if we've got something that's described as a phenomena in gravity, well, then when that's proven wrong, surely in the future, less fallacious though it is to assert it, the second law of thermodynamics could be proven wrong also. And therefore science is being disproved. It's like, okay, there's a cluster screw here. We need to separate out what a natural law is, what science is, and specifically because the phenomena is being detailed in both circumstances, should really hinge around Brian's point of what is a phenomena. Maybe that's the show. What is a phenomena? And then that'll branch into science and natural law.
I find it quite funny that we started the show defending ourselves, saying we don't have pre-shows or pre-planning of the shows. Just the pre-planning of next week's.
Yeah, it is ironic now that you say that. Yeah, but that's not really, scripting anything. That's just suggestions for a topic. So it's a little different.
That's as good as it's ever going to get.
Yeah, it is.
Right now.
Technically, that was only done because I needed to drag out 6 minutes so I could say, with QE's permission.
Yes, sir. Take us home, sir.
I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you first and foremost to all of the people who have joined us live watching on Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. If you are watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, then thank you very much for watching, smashing the super chat and all that good stuff. Starting now over on my second channel, which is Nathan Oakley, is brand spanking new Flat Earth Debate, uncut and after show. So be here or be sphere, and more so than ever because it's a really epic episode. So tune in. I will spam the link. Hopefully you will pin it to the top of the comments. The outro music rolls. Another massive thank you to obviously all of the Ballbusters panel and all of the people who joined us from the public discussion forum. So thank you very much to all of you as well. Also, massive thank you to everyone who smashed the super chat for Quantum Eraser. I've been Nathan Oakley. Be here or be sphere for brand new Flat Earth Debate on Nathan Oakley channel, and we will see you all on the next Ballbusters.